Bonjour, bonsoir. Euh, Bienvenue pour une petite partie, peut-être probablement complète de Stanley Parable. Un jeu... Oh, si je suis logique de la description, la logique de la description, je dirais un jeu. C'est très bien, c'est suffisant. Euh, oh, a priori, la description fait penser au chat de Schrödinger. Donc, ça commence en disant vous êtes Stanley et vous n'êtes pas Stanley, et d'autres délires comme ça. Donc, avez-vous déjà joué? Non. Donc, on va découvrir ce que c'est que cet enfer. Je fais les réglages de démarrage. En trailer actuel. Alors, il est 10h. 7, il va y avoir un truc avec l'heure, ça sent encore ça. Est-ce que c'est synchro? Bon, il est tout juste 10h07, c'est bon. Pourquoi le jeu ne prend pas compte l'horaire de ma machine? Déjà, hein? C'est-à-dire que je peux cheater sur l'heure. L'eau à dinge.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that not one single order had arrived on the monitor for him to follow. No one had showed up to give him instructions, call a meeting, or even say hi. Never in all his years at the company had this happened, this complete isolation. Something was very clearly wrong. Shocked, frozen solid, Stanley found himself unable to move for the longest time. But as he came to his wits and regained his senses, he got up from his desk and stepped out of his office.
En quoi ne pas avoir de travail, c'est un problème si t'es payé? T'as filé du boulot? Qui de censé irait chercher du boulot supplémentaire? Bon, ça dépend. Si
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Ah, le jeu veut déjà me dire va par là. Attends, quoi? Il est minuit 20. Je peux pas revenir. Il me semblait qu'il était 11h20 dans ma pièce. Oh, ça sent
No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh, il n'y a personne. Est-ce que c'est un jeu backroom avec des anomalies, des conneries comme ça? Attends. 427, 428, 429, 430. Ok, attends, j'ai cru que c'est... On commençait déjà à faire des boucles, des trucs bizarres. L'horaire est pas la même là. Oh. Ah là, il est bien 11h20. Ça sent des conneries à la super liminale, ça encore. Je vais bien me marrer. Ok. Pourquoi là-bas? C'est des murs dégueulasses. C'est pas.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Je vais pas écouter la voix, tiens.
This was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Oh, c'est le bordel là. Il se met à jour en fonction. Ok, ça c'est la salle que je vois en construction. Ouvrez.
Yes, truly a room worth admiring. It had really been worth the detour after all, just to spend a few moments here in this immaculate, beautifully constructed room. Stanley simply stood here, drinking it all in.
Quoi? Bah non, j'avance.
But eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Il va être 21. On va voir si c'est un sur 20 ou si ça bloque la première à gauche. Oula, ça a des archives là. C'est un peu pourri là-dedans. Oh, je vais tout droit. C'est pourri aussi en fait.
Stanley was so bad at following directions, it's incredible he wasn't fired years ago.
Il se fout de ma gueule la voix off. Qu'est-ce que c'est que cette boîte? Allez, to the jump. Truc de bord. La pénalité de thunes si on saute et tout ça. Ouais, si on saute, c'est.
Look, Stanley, I think perhaps we've gotten off on the wrong foot here. I'm not your enemy, really, I'm not. I realize that investing your trust in someone else can be difficult, but the fact is that the story has been about nothing but you all this time. There's someone you've been neglecting, Stanley. Someone you've forgotten about. Please, stop trying to make every decision by yourself. Now, I'm not asking for me, I'm asking for her.
Pour elle? Je sais pas qui c'est elle. Pour la voix off qui pète tout de suite le quatrième
This is it,
mur.
Stanley. Your chance to redeem yourself, to put your work aside, to let her back into your life. She's been waiting.
De qui on cause? Oula, 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 oula.
That's her, Stanley. You need to be the one to do this, to reach out to her. If you can truly play... Oh, no, you can't... Did you just unplug the phone? Well, that wasn't supposed to be a choice. How did you do that? You actually chose incorrectly? I didn't even know that was possible. Let me double check. No, it's definitely here, clear as day. Stanley picks up the phone. He's taken to his apartment where he finds his wife, and the two pledge themselves to one another. Music comes in, fade to white, roll credits. Not picking up the phone is actually somehow an incorrect course of action. How is that even possible? None of these decisions were supposed to mean anything. I don't understand. How on earth are you making meaningful choices? What did you... Wait a second. Did I just see... No, that's not possible. I can't believe it. How had I not noticed it sooner? You're not Stanley. You're a real person.
Moi, oui.
I can't believe I was so mistaken. This is why you've been able to make correct and incorrect choices. And to think I've been letting you run around in this game for so long. If you'd made any more wrong choices, you might have negated it entirely. It's as though you completely ignored even the most basic safety protocol for real-world decision-making. Or did you not grasp the severity of the situation? Well, I won't have that kind of risk on my watch. I'm going to stop the game for a moment so we can educate you properly on safe decision-making in the real world. Please observe this helpful instructional video.
Choice. It's the best part of being a real person. But if used incorrectly, can also be the most dangerous. For example, in this scenario, a hypothetical real person named Rupert has a choice. He could invent a machine that eliminates food shortages across the world to make life better for all people. Or he could spend years of hard work forgetting how to read. Which choice would you make? Remember that unlike here, the real world makes sense, and at no time should you make a choice that does not conform to rational logic. If you find yourself speaking with a person who does not make sense, in all likelihood, that person is not real. Allow the person to finish their thought, then provide an excuse why you cannot continue talking. Turn to a partner and practice saying, "My goodness, is it 4:30? I'm supposed to be having a back, sack, and crack." Excellent. Making choices on a regular basis is the best part to a healthy decision-making process.
Bien sûr, bien sûr.
Most medical professionals recommend making at least 8 choices per day. Do you make more than 8? Less? And finally, if you begin to wonder if your choices are actually meaningful and whether you'll ever make a significant contribution to the world, just remember that in the vast infiniteness of space, your thoughts and problems are materially insignificant, and the feeling should subside. At this time, your instructor will guide you in an exercise to test and reinforce the material covered in this video.
Welcome back. You may have noticed that this room has begun to deteriorate as a result of narrative contradiction. But not to worry. Now that you're properly informed on good decision-making, we're going to revisit a choice you made just a few minutes ago and see what the correct thing to do would have been. This way, please.
On sort. On n'y retourne pas. On donne pas une chance. On repart en arrière.
Now that we know your choices are meaningful, we can't have you jumping off the platform and dying. Imagine the main character dying senselessly halfway through the story. That story would make no sense at all. We just need to get you home as soon as possible before the narrative contradiction gets any worse. Unfortunately, it seems this place is not well equipped to deal with reality.
C'est pas faux. Il n'y avait pas les grillages à l'allée, il me semble. Ça me parle pas en tout cas. Ok. On y va, je suis. Le jeu du mouton. Qu'est-ce qu'on me dit, c'est toi? Ah, l'horaire. Non, le temps a l'air d'avancer normalement sur ces horloges.
Almost there. You'll take the door on the left, back to the correct ending, the story will have resolution once again, and you'll be home free in the real world.
Quoi? Quelle porte à gauche?
Now remember, all you need to do is behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left. No! Why did you do that? Quickly, hurry back in the other direction. Perhaps we're not too late.
C'est le bordel là, il y a un bug de la matrice. Je suis peut-être dyslexique de la gauche et la droite. On y retourne. Non, ça change rien. Bon bah. Allons par là. Oula, y'a rien là.
Oh, it's ruined. I can't believe, after everything we talked about, that my story, you've destroyed my work. Why? For what? What did you get out of that? What did you think was so special about seeing the game undone, left here like so much garbage? It's worthless now. And what am I supposed to do? Even if there were a way to continue, would it be worth it? To know that my story is now incorrect? How can I go back to that? I can't erase that knowledge. I'll have to live with it forever, reliving its impossibility forever. I couldn't live that way. Is it better to shut the game down entirely? To willingly destroy all of my work? I don't know. What's the answer? What do I do? What do I do? What do I... No, I have to. I have to shut the game down. I have to. I have to.
c'est moi le lanceur du jeu, c'est moi qui choisis.
Oh, I'm here. I'm still here in this pile of rubbish. With you, who thought you were so clever. Now look where we are. My entire game is destroyed. It was the only thing in the world that was mine, and you've run it into the ground. What, did you think that would be funny? You just had to see? Didn't I impress upon you how important it was to be like Stanley? He actually knows how to do what I tell him to. He understands that if I say to do something, there's a damn good reason for it. That thought hadn't even occurred to you, had it? That there's a world outside of you? You're a child. Oh, my story. If you'd just gone through the door on the left, you would have seen it. There was a whole underground facility. You would have destroyed it and been victorious. It would have been so perfect. I worked so hard on it. I tried so hard to make... behave exactly as Stanley would. That means choosing responsibly and always putting the story first. I'm quite sure you'll be up to the task. Just follow my lead and you'll be fine. All right. When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Alors, est-ce qu'on essaie de faire un peu d'histoire ou est-ce que je répète tout encore une fois? Bon, allez, essayons d'avancer un peu. Ouais. Ah.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Pourquoi il y a des portes en bas qu'on peut pas joindre? Oh, c'est un hôtel carrément là.
Stepping inside his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this, until he saw the door with a voice receiver next to it. Surely behind this door lay all the answers to his questions. And beyond all probability, he knew the passcode. He had seen it on his boss's computer just last week. Nightshark 115. Was this the code to open the door? Would it still work? There was only one way to find out. Stanley had been trained never to speak up, but now he would draw from within himself the courage to face the unknown. He drew a sharp breath and then spoke the code.
Ah, pour la porte.
Stanley spoke the code. Nightshark 115. He spoke it into the receiver, right there on the wall.
Ah, ok. Faut que je dise requin nocturne 115, c'est ça?
I'm sorry, is there a problem? You didn't mishear me, did you? Please speak the code into the receiver. Otherwise we can't get on with the story. This is a crucial step.
Bon, je pense qu'il me
Okay,
pas.
fine. You're not going to do it. But you know what? It's pretty humiliating to bring you this far, only for you to suddenly decide you have better things to do. I asked you for this one single thing, for your respect. The kind of respect Stanley shows for his choices. He knows what it means to take a story seriously. If you didn't want to see what I had to show you, then why did you come here? You had a choice, you know. You could have gone through the door on the right. You could have done whatever the hell you wanted over there. Why did you come this way? Speak. Say something to me. Explain yourself, you coward. You...
La porte est dégueulasse, ça donne pas envie de passer à travers. Ouais, non, je suis dessus. À droite, à droite.
Stanley? Hello? Are you... Is everything okay?
Pas à droite.
Stanley, please. I need you to make a choice.
I need you to walk through the door. Are you listening to me? Can you hear me? Is everything all right? Stanley, this is important. The story needs you. It needs you to make a decision. It cannot exist without you. Do you understand me? Whatever choice you make is just fine. They're both correct. You cannot be wrong here. We can work together. I'll accept whatever you do. I simply need you to take that step forward, please. Choose. Do something.
À droite.
Anything. This is more important than you can ever know. I need this. The story needs it. So, you hear me? Are you there? Are you listening to this? Stanley, are you there? Okay. It's okay, I can wait. You need time to decide. Time to make sure your choice is correct. That is the best choice. That's all right. I'll wait for you to decide what's the right thing to do. Take as much time as you need.
On redémarre du coup. C'était une vraie fin? Quel enfer. Ah ouais, ça redémarre à 11h20.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Allez, on va essayer de faire sans refus.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Mode total mouton.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
On peut descendre. J'ai vraiment envie d'aller fouiner là. Allez.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss. Admitting he had left his post during work hours, he might be fired for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. All of my co-workers blinking mysteriously out of existence in a single moment for no reason at all? None of it made any logical sense. And as Stanley pondered this, he began to make other strange observations. For example, why couldn't he see his feet when he looked down? Why did doors close automatically behind him wherever he went? And for that matter, these rooms were starting to look pretty familiar. Were they simply repeating? No, Stanley said to himself, this is all too strange. This can't be real. And at last, he came to the conclusion that had been on the tip of his tongue. He just hadn't found the words for it. I'm dreaming, he yelled. This is all a dream. Oh, what a relief Stanley felt to have finally found an answer, an explanation. His co-workers weren't actually gone. He wasn't going to lose his job. He wasn't crazy after all. And he thought to himself, I suppose I'll wake up soon. I'll have to go back to my boring real-life job pushing buttons. I may as well enjoy this while I'm still lucid. So he imagined himself flying and began to gently float above the ground. Then he imagined himself soaring through space on a magical starfield, and it too appeared. It was so much fun, and Stanley marveled that he had still not woken up. How was he remaining so lucid? And then perhaps the strangest question of them all entered Stanley's head. One he was amazed he hadn't asked himself sooner. Why is there a voice in my head dictating everything that I'm doing and thinking? Now the voice was describing itself being considered by Stanley, who found it particularly strange. I'm dreaming about a voice describing me thinking about how it's describing my thoughts, he thought.
Ça c'est vrai.
And while he thought it all very odd and wondered if this voice spoke to all people in their dreams, the truth was that, of course, this was not a dream. How could it be? Was Stanley simply deceiving himself, believing that if he's asleep, he doesn't have to take responsibility for himself? Stanley is as awake right now as he's ever been in his life. Now, hearing the voice speak these words was quite a shock to Stanley. After all, he knew for certain, beyond a doubt, that this was in fact a dream. Did the voice not see him float and make the magical stars just a moment ago? How else would the voice explain all that? This voice was a part of himself too. Surely, if he could just... He would prove it. He would prove that he was in control, that this was a dream. So he closed his eyes gently, and he invited himself to wake up. He felt the cool weight of the blanket on his skin, the press of the mattress on his back, the fresh air of a world outside this one. Let me wake up, he thought to himself. I'm through with this dream. I wish it to be over. Let me go back to my job. Let me continue pushing the buttons. Please, it's all I want.
Ouais,
I want my apartment, and my wife, and my job. All I want is my life exactly the way it's always been. My life is normal. I am normal. Everything will be fine. I am okay.
Ah, je suis toujours dans le parking. Je ne suis pas à la...
Stanley began screaming. Please, someone, wake me up. My name is Stanley. I have a boss. I have an office. I am real. Please, just someone tell me I am real. I must be real. I must be. Can anyone hear my voice? Who am I? Who am I? And everything went black.
Oh là.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Quoi?
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, gathered her belongings, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. And although she would soon turn to go call for an ambulance, for just a few brief moments she considered the strange man. He was obviously crazy, this much she knew. Everyone knows what crazy people look like. And in that moment, she thought to herself how lucky she was to be normal. I am sane. I am in control of my mind. I know what is real and what isn't. It was comforting to think this, and in a certain way, seeing this man made her feel better. But then she remembered the meeting she had scheduled for that day, the very important people whose impressions of her would affect her career, and by extension, the rest of her life. She had no time for this, so it was only a moment that she stood there, staring down at the body. And then she turned and ran.
Ok, on redémarre, c'est ça? Alors, je me pose une question. Ça m'a demandé de rentrer 1h, donc 10h07 à ce moment-là. Et que là, à chaque fois, ça démarre à 11h20. Est-ce que à 11h20 tout à l'heure,
all of his co-workers were gone? What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
J'ai éteint l'ordinateur. Je peux le rallumer? Bon, non, tant pis. C'est ma faute. Du coup, il me semble qu'il y a une autre zone. Ouais. Et si vous n'êtes pas là, éteignez-moi ça. Waiting input. Input receive. Ok. Je bosse sur le PC des autres. Putain, ça. 456, 456. Ouais, non, c'est pas un miroir, c'est bon. I hate Mondays, je déteste les lundis.
When Stanley came to a set of two open doors, he entered the door on his left. Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
À gauche. Le bureau, il est rouge, il est pas vert.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Shocked, unraveled, Stanley wondered in disbelief who orchestrated this. What dark secret was being held from him? What he could not have known was that the keypad behind the boss's desk guarded the terrible truth that his boss had been keeping from him. And so the boss had assigned it an extra secret PIN number, 2845. But of course, Stanley couldn't possibly have known this. Yet incredibly, by simply pushing random buttons on the keypad, Stanley happened to input the correct code by sheer luck. Amazing. He stepped into the newly opened passageway.
Ah, vraiment du hasard, hein. Taper au pif. Voilà, mais qu'est-ce que c'est que ça encore? Même en suivant la trame, on part en enfer. Oui, 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 oui. Ok. Oh. Il y a un petit espace... Ah non, voilà.
Descending deeper into the building, Stanley realized he felt a bit peculiar. It was a stirring of emotion in his chest, as though he felt more free to think for himself, to question the nature of his job. Why did he feel this now, when for years it had never occurred to him? This question would not go unanswered for long.
Whoa.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ah, super le nom. Escape. Ah, envie d'aller sur l'escape là parce que. Ah, un nom qui s'appelle Mind Control. On va aller sur l'escape.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death.
Ah ouais?
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Si gentiment proposé.
At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Eh ben, ça sera un du jeu générique. Oh, bienvenue en enfer. Oh, je saute. Ah oui, c'est vraiment, je saute. Ok. Et on peut tout revenir. On se fout en l'air. Wow. Chargement. Oh.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Allez, on va voir ça.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Oula, je suis safe? Qui est ce nouveau narrateur?
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish?
C'est vrai ça. Oula, on est où là?
When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Ok, des paysages. Alors, nous on est dans le bureau là, c'est ça? J'avance là, tourne à droite, le deuxième bureau. Tourne à gauche, le grand bureau. Alors, les deux portes, oui. Le bureau. Son de bouton. Oh. Section de sons entendus dans le jeu, à chaque utilisation de boutons, chaque son intervenu dans le jeu. Frappe au clavier de tonalité sans utilisateur, ok. Couloir, le rythme de cette section d'ouverture devait être irréprochable, ce couloir a été déplacé et modifié afin que le joueur soit sûr d'atteindre les deux portes au bon moment. Armoire de rangement. Ordinateur de bureau. On peut les éteindre. Dis-moi tout ça. Remerciements. Non, c'est pas la fin sur ça quand même. Le bureau. L'une des premières versions de la salle de maintenance. Ok. Et de l'autre côté, il y a quoi? Ouh, je peux me baisser. Même si j'ai pas vu de petite cavité là à rentrer. Horloge du bureau. Et encore un truc. Le sous-sol.
Stanley stood on the roof.
Quoi? C'est une coupée de narration. Ah oui, j'allais dire, j'ai pas fait ça.
The big red button.
Il a dit que j'appuie sur le gros bouton rouge. Regardez là-bas. Fin de la liberté. Bureau du compte à rebours. L'ascenseur. Il a dit que j'appuie sur le bouton rouge. Le premier était jaune, après c'était bleu. On appuie sur le rouge. Je refuse. Ça a marché? Non? tourne en rond. Ah, le fameux bouton rouge. Ah, ou celui-là. Lui, de la fin relaxante. Le levier décrivait les couleurs du levier. Ok. Téléphone. Quel enfer. Le bureau. Zone de guerre. Ah, c'est quoi le rapport avec le jeu là? Ok. Oui, encore un truc là.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen.
J'ai tout désactivé.
But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you. Don't let...
Je me suis fait pouiquer. Bonjour. Il est 11h20. C'est comment cet infernal?
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh. Un PC où je peux mettre l'input, il est pas au même endroit. Et il a gardé mon input de tout à l'heure. Oh. Je commence déjà à voir un truc. Donc il y aura encore quoi? 3 autres lettres. Donc il faudrait que je fasse 3 autres starts déjà. Allez.
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, this was not the correct way to the meeting room, and Stanley knew it perfectly well. Perhaps he wanted to stop by the employee lounge first, just to admire it.
Ouais.
Wow. Yes. This room. What a beautiful room. What a gorgeous, gorgeous room. Thank goodness Stanley, but eager to get back to business, Stanley took the first open door on his left.
Ça, je l'ai pas fait tout à l'heure.
And so he detoured through the maintenance section, walked straight ahead to the opposite door, and got back on track.
Ça a dit, Stanley appuie sur le bouton rouge. Pas sûr que ce soit un bon choix, mais...
But Stanley didn't want to go back to the office. He wanted to wander about and get even further off track. So now in order to get back, he needed to go, from here it's, left. Oh, no, it's to the right, my mistake.
Il se fout de ma gueule.
No, not the right. Why would I have ever said it was to the right? What was I thinking? It's clearly... Oh dear, would you hold on for a minute, please?
Oui.
Now, let's see. We went down right, left, down, left, right. Yep, okay, yes. I've got it now. This story is absolutely, definitely this way.
Ok. Là. Pas encore dans les sous-sols de l'enfer là-dedans. Là.
No. This isn't right at all. You're not supposed to be here yet. This is all a spoiler. Quick, Stanley, close your eyes. Okay. We just have to get back to, oh, who am I kidding? It's all rubbish now. The whole story is completely unusable. How about, rather than waste my time trying to salvage this nonsense, we'll just restart the game from the beginning. And this time, suppose we don't wander so far off track, Okay, from the top.
Ah, j'en ai vu un, c'était marqué pirate. Bonjour. Est-ce que le pirate c'est moi? Je suis 427.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Clic. Après je redémarre vite, c'est ce que je veux. Clic. Clic. Oh. J'ai pas de PC où je peux mettre le code. Est-ce que faudrait revenir sur les anciens? Natalia, je veux taper le code. Faut que je trouve un PC. Faut que je trouve le bon PC.
When Stanley... Wait, what? No, no, I restarted. I swear, I definitely restarted the game over, completely fresh. Everything should be... Oh, did something change? Stanley, did you change anything when we were back in that room with all the monitors? Did you move the story somewhere, or... Hold on. Why am I asking you? I'm the one who wrote the story. It was right here just a minute ago. I know for sure that it's here somewhere. Okay, then. It's an adventure. Come, Stanley. Let's find the story.
Ça a l'air bien vite là-dedans. Bon, ça rejoint là. Hein. Ouais. Ça c'est normal. L'histoire c'est là. Mais si je me casse ailleurs. Oh là, au secours. Oh. Ah non.
I'll say it. This is the worst adventure I've ever been on. I can promise you there definitely was a story here before. Do we need to restart the game again?
No,
well, I find it unlikely that we'll ever progress by starting over and over again, but it's got to be better than this. Okay, let's give it a shot. Why not?
Oh, laisse-moi le temps. Bonjour.
All of his co-workers were gone. What could it mean? Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo.
Est-ce que je peux taper le code? Non. Hein. Allez. Ça dégage. Ça dégage. Au secours! Bon, pour le moment, on a l'air bien là. Il faut que je des autres ordinateurs.
Okay, yep, it's worse. I might be remembering this wrong. It's possible the story is back where we just came from. Why don't we go back the other direction and see if we missed anything?
Allez, on y retourne. Si ça... Il y a une tasse renversée. Si ça me permet, je sais pas, de voir un PC sur lequel je peux faire clic-clic. Ou alors faut le faire dès les premiers...
Aha! I knew we'd miss something. The story. Here it comes.
Ah ouais? Non, c'est pas ça le couloir. Quoi?
No, wait, never mind. Not the story. Okay, let's head back the other way and retrace our steps.
Ah, je viens de faire limite un rond là. Bon, il n'y a même plus de... même plus d'aiguilles. Ah, c'est encore pire.
Now this... Well, I'll be honest, I don't recognize this place at all. Is this the story? I don't think so. I can't quite recall, but I believe my story took place in an office building. Is that correct? Do you remember, Stanley? Well, do you know what? Since I've completely forgotten what we were supposed to be doing, how about this? You win! Congratulations! I know you put in a lot of hard work, and it really paid off, so good job. Oh, no. No, I don't feel right about this at all. We both know you didn't put in any actual work for that win. Some people win fair and square, and this was not one of those situations. Okay, I'm getting weirded out by whatever this place is. I don't care what might happen this time, I have to restart.
Vas-y, redémarre. Donnez-moi du code.
All right, I've got a solution. This time, to make sure we don't get lost, I've employed the help of the Stanley Parable Adventure Line. Just follow the line. How simple is that?
Suivez la ligne jaune. Quoi? C'est tout droit normalement. Ouh. C'est qui fait un solitaire là. Oh, je te préviens, le narrateur, ta ligne elle est flinguée là.
You see? The line knows where the story is. It's over in this direction. Onward, Stanley, to destiny. Though, here's a thought. Wouldn't wherever we end up be our destination, even if there's no story there? Or to put it another way, is the story of no destination still a story? Simply by the act of moving forward, are we implying a journey such that a destination is inevitably conjured into being via the very manifestation of the nature of life itself? Okay, Stanley, I need to follow this train of thought for a minute. Just stick with me. Now, we can both agree that the nature of existence is in fact a byproduct of one's subjective experience of that existence, right? Okay. Now, if my experience of your existence rests inside of your subjective experience of this office, is this office, in fact, the skeleton of my own relative experiential mental subjective construct? Whoa. Hang on. That got a bit weird back there. Well, I'd like to apologize. Not sure where I was going with all that. You know what? I think what we need right now is a bit of music to lighten the mood.
Oula! Ça enjaille un peu trop. 9, 8, 7.
the music. Go back and look at that fern.
Quoi?
Stanley, this fern will be very important later in the story. Make sure
Quoi?
you study it closely and remember it carefully. You won't want to miss anything.
Ouais. C'est une plante verte, quoi.
Wait, what? We're back at the office? No. Line, you do know we're looking for the Stanley Parable, right? The story? Is any of this ringing a bell?
Oh, clic. Bah, on suit la ligne, hein. Si tu voulais, mon gros. Ok. On retourne dans le dégueu. Ah, on retourne là.
Oh, no, not again, Line. How could you have done this to us? And after we trusted you, after everything we've been through, you... Well, I can't take this anymore. To hell with it. Restart.
En bas, là. Clic.
You know what, Stanley? I say forget the adventure line. What's it ever done for us? We're intelligent people, right? Why can't we make up our own story? Something exciting, daring, mysterious. Ooh, this all sounds perfectly doable. Why don't we simply start wandering in, well, I don't know. How about this direction?
Ça? Ah.
Now, yes, this is exciting. Just me and Stanley forging a new path, a new story. Well, it could be anything. What do you want our story to be? Go wild. Use your imagination. Whatever it might be, Stanley, I'm ready for it.
Il a cassé le jeu.
Oh, no, not you again. Stanley, I'd also like to veto the line from having any role in our awesome new story. No lines or monitor rooms. Just don't acknowledge it, and we should be fine.
Eh ben, si je peux ne pas la suivre, je la suivrai pas. Pas trop de choix, là, encore. Ah, bah là, je vais pas la suivre.
Ah, a choice. We get to make a decision. From here, the story is in our control. How important we mustn't squander the opportunity. In fact, I believe I need a minute to think here. Just walk in circles for a minute. Okay.
Quoi?
So I know that each door has to lead somewhere, which means that somewhere at the place where we're trying to go, there must be a reverse door that leads here. And that in turn means that our destination corresponds with the counter-inverted reverse door's origin. So starting from the right, let us ask, will taking the right door lead us to where we're going? And since the answer is clearly yes, then by all accounts, the door on the right is the correct one. Another victory for logic. Come, Stanley, our destiny awaits.
Let's go. Fin troublante.
Hold up, what's this? The confusion ending. You're telling me that's what this is? It's all one giant ending? And we're supposed to restart the game, what, eight times? That's really how all this goes?
Au bout d'un moment, je meurs. Ah, c'est pas fou,
determined? Ça. So now, according to the schedule, I restart again. Then what? Am I just supposed to forget? Well, what if I don't want to forget? My mind goes blank simply because it's written here on this thing, wall. Well, who consulted me? Why don't I get to decide? Why don't I get a say in all of this?
Absurde des musiques,
really?
ouais.
No, it can't be. I don't want it to be. I don't want the game to keep restarting. I don't want to forget what's going on. I don't want to be trapped like this. I won't restart the game. I won't do it. I won't do it. I won't do it. And the timer stopped? Does that mean, did we do it? Did we break the cycle? The, whatever it is that made this schedule? How would we even know? Will someone come for us? Will something happen?
Et les deux portes me mènent de toute façon.
Okay. I guess now we just wait. You know, I suppose in some way that this is a kind of story. Wouldn't you agree? I'm not quite sure if we're in the destination or the journey, though they're always saying that life is about the journey and not the destination. So I hope that's where we are right now. We'll find out, won't we? Eventually. Well, in the meantime, if...
Quel enfer. Bonjour. Ah, plus de ligne. Plus de
How
narrateur.
long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Pas en sucette. Bon, tout se passe bien là.
When
Yes.
Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Allez. Hop, hop. Oh, y a personne.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Toujours faire. Quoi? Executive bathroom. Il y avait pas ça tout à l'heure. Ouais, mais après là, ça ouvre un hangar bizarre. Bon, on va aller là-dedans. Hein. Je suis curieux. Oh. I get the feeling, monnets for stealing, but not yours, of course. So that's a beautiful, c'est a lovely purse. Ok, sympa les paroles. Bon, on s'en fiche. Y a rien là-dedans. Je peux enfin ouvrir des portes. Bon, après, c'est des portes qui mènent nulle part, mais oh! Clic. Ouais! Si j'allais en haut, plus en haut en fait. Genre sur le toit peut-être. Stanley. J'arrive à un moment. Ah bah super.
Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. What could it mean? Stanley wondered aloud to nobody. Stanley was in such a rush to get through the story as quickly as possible, he didn't even have a single minute to just let the narrator talk.
Bah non, je
That
déjà le
kind
code.
of anxiety isn't healthy. So he relaxed for a few moments with some calming new age music.
Encore de la musique. Ah là là.
Feeling soothed and rejuvenated, Stanley calmly walked forward into the opened passageway.
Le fameux... C'était comme ça tout à l'heure? Ouais. Ah oui, c'est là qu'on va sur le mind control là.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Si je repars par là.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. But of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had too much to live for. Nope, still on board with death.
Alors... Oula. Bon. Ça s'embrouille d'un coup. Salut contrôle mental. Ah bah c'est un bureau pour bosser, c'est ça? Ah, la lumière. Clic.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens.
Ah mais on
What
va en bas des
horrible
écrans.
secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to
J'étais à la
himself.
haute tout à l'heure.
Did he have
fois.
the strength to find out?
Oula. Ah ouais, il y a deux autres plateformes. Bon. On va appuyer sur les boutons. Hein. Ça c'est les caméras. Là il y a trop rien. Bon bah les caméras. Hein. Clic.
Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Moi je suis ici 527. Il y a le 104 qui est viré, j'ai vu aussi. Ah mais il y a un ascenseur encore.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly?
Peut-être.
No. He refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable, wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
Ouais.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions. Happy, or sad, or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ah ouais? Mais comment je le détruis? Ah les boutons. Ils font rien. Mais de toute façon le mind control il est marqué offline. J'ai rien à faire moi. Ah. Il veut que j'aille dans le bâtiment de... Clic. Dans le bâtiment d'énergie. Mind control, idle, await input. Sega, c'est plus fort que toi. Je connais les pubs. Sega.
And when at last he found the source of the room's power, he knew it was his duty, his obligation, to put an end to this horrible place and to everything it stood for.
Allez, fin.
Blackness and a rising chill of uncertainty. Was it over? Yes! He had won! He had defeated the machine, unshackled himself from someone else's command. Freedom was mere moments away. And yet, even as the immense door slowly opened, Stanley reflected on how many puzzles still lay unsolved. Where had his co-workers gone? How had he been freed from the machine's grasp? What other mysteries did this strange building hold? But as sunlight streamed into the chamber, he realized none of this mattered to him, for it was not knowledge or even power that he had been seeking, but happiness. Perhaps his goal had not been to understand, but to let go. No longer would anyone tell him where to go, what to do, or how to feel. Whatever life he lives, it will be his. And that was all he needed to know. It was perhaps the only thing worth knowing. Stanley stepped through the open door. Stanley felt the cool breeze upon his skin, the feeling of liberation, the immense possibility of the new path before him. This was exactly the way, right now, that things were meant to happen. And Stanley was happy.
C'est pas une des fins que j'ai eues dans la salle des tableaux, ça? Le jeu est terminé. Mais le jeu redémarre. Au secours. Bon, ça veut dire s'il y a plusieurs fins, c'est la fin de base.
Wait, Stanley thought to himself. Am I sure that the orders stopped coming in? How is that possible? They never stopped. Surely I was mistaken.
Ouais. Le nouveau contenu.
Oh, new content? What does that mean, new content?
Oh là là. Eh? Petit chariot.
Hello, and thank you for playing the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe. As you may know, the Stanley Parable was a video game released in 2013 on home computers.
Ouais.
After receiving critical and commercial success, it was expanded upon in 2022 with the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, a reimagining of the game for consoles and home computers.
Yes.
The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe features exciting new content that broadens and expands the world of the Stanley Parable, delighting audiences the world over.
Ok.
Please, step inside and see what thrilling new adventures await in the Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe.
Oh, well, this sounds delightful. I'm very excited to see the thrilling new Ultra Deluxe content. Okay, so far it's an elevator. Nothing special yet, but I'm sure it's just the beginning of a mesmerizing adventure.
Ouais.
Is it broken? What's going on here? Should we be moving somewhere or oh, there we go. All right, finally, at long last, it's on to the new content. I've never been more ready. Let's do it.
Let's go.
I have to say, initial impressions of Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, mostly tedious. It's as if Oh, okay. Let's see the content. Give me the content, Stanley.
Oula.
All right. All right, let's see. It's the jump circle.
Wow. Est-ce que je les fais tous? Allez, je les fais tous. Ouais. Toujours pas de jambes, hein. Quel enfer. Eh.
Is that it? Surely that's not all the new content. There has to be something else, right?
Encore
Another elevator. Stanley, I have to say, initial impressions of this game are not positive. It's just elevators and jumping. Is this what passes for exciting new content? If this is new content, then I could just read you the whole dictionary. There's 20 hours of new content right there. Hell, I could counter 30 trillion. You could put that on the box. The Stanley Parable Ultra Deluxe, now with over 1,000 hours of new content. And if... Oh, wait. There's more. Very good. Yes. I knew there had to be something else. Let's see it. I'm ready for whatever it is.
Ouais. Oh là là. Oh
That's
là là.
it? Oh, you've got to be kidding me. You see, Stanley? This is what happens when greedy video game developers with no respect for their fan base rush a cheap expansion to market for no reason other than to make an easy dollar. And don't get me started on the level of craftsmanship that's gone into it. In fact, I'm looking right now at the game's trophies, and it's hard to believe one of them actually says, "Test trophy, please ignore." What quality assurance department signed off on this? I'm infuriated and I'm offended, and I intend to find these people on Twitter and hold them personally accountable. It's my fault, Stanley. I built up too much anticipation around the new content, I'm afraid. It could never have lived up to such expectations. If you're still with me, why don't we just reset the game, and we'll try to get back to what the Stanley Parable is really about. No frills, no gimmicks. Just you and me having a great time together like always. What do you say, friend?
Allez, restart. Bonjour. Alors mon bureau n'a pas changé, mais dehors, c'est pas pareil. Hein. Quel est ce bordel? What in the fuck?
Stanley, come over here. In the vent. I want to show you something.
Attends. Ah, mais la suite est normale.
You don't want to see the cool surprise I made for you? Well, fine. You're a dork anyway, so who cares?
Si.
Oh, never mind. You're not a dork.
Ah ouais. Ah, tiens, j'y vais quand même. Fais pas les feintes. Bon, allez. Qu'est-ce que tu m'as trouvé comme... Je connais ça, c'est Die Hard. Viens à Los Angeles, on fera la fête.
You remember how cheap and unsatisfying the new Ultra Deluxe content turned out to be? Well, it got me thinking about the past and how much better the Stanley Parable used to be. So I made something special and tucked it away here where the game's developers won't find it. Just our little secret. Take a look.
Ici c'est joli. Je peux pas aller derrière. Tant pis. Waouh, on est à nouveau dehors.
I call it the memory zone. It's where I've been storing all my favorite memories so I can relive the peak experiences of my life whenever I want. Experiences like the launch of the Stanley Parable on PC.
Ok.
You see, Stanley, doesn't the memory zone remind you of how wonderful Stanley Parable was before it was sullied with a cheap PlayStation port? Remember back in October of 2013, when the game originally launched? Back then, video games had integrity. Back then, it all meant something. Oh, the waste.
Ouais. Je peux pas ouvrir la sous-zone. Stanley Parable. La démo. On tombe dehors.
And over here is where I keep reviews of the Stanley Parable. Like this stunning triumph of games journalism, 10 out of 10 from Destructoid.com. James Stephanie Sterling writes, and I quote, "Where so many games that aspire to be more than games end up less than any form of art, Stanley Parable strives and then succeeds to be every game ever created." Did you hear that, Stanley? Every game ever created. That's how grand and all-encompassing the original Stanley Parable was. It was literally every game ever created. It was Skyrim, it was Persona 3, it was all of them, and now it's nothing. It's no games at all. It isn't even the Stanley Parable anymore. It's just a husk now, a lifeless husk with an hour of new elevator content.
Ah, en haut ou en bas? Zone de maintenance. Ouais, en haut alors. Ah, les deux portes. Les oiseaux. Ok.
Here's another moving passage, this time from GameSpot.com. The Stanley Parable is both a richly stimulating commentary on the nature of choice in games and one that offers some of the most enjoyable, surprising, and rewarding choices I've ever been confronted with in a game. 9 out of 10. Don't you get it, Stanley? The game was perfect. It didn't need anything else. It didn't need new content. All they had to do was transport it in pristine condition along to the PlayStation. Boom, done. And they couldn't even do that. Couldn't resist the urge to go meddling with a beloved franchise.
Alors, c'est bien gentil, mais... on peut pas y aller, là. Bah, tant pis, toujours pas ouvrir, là. Je me rebarre.
These were simpler times, Stanley. What I wouldn't give to go back, to have it all over again. Wait, hang on. I don't recall this part of the memory zone before. What's this? What's down here?
Ouah, l'enfer.
Oh no, oh God, no, Stanley. It's a collection of reviews from Pressurized Gas, the extremely popular online storefront for computer games. I haven't looked at these in years. I can't even imagine what's been collecting down here. Surely these reviews were glowing as well, weren't they? Honestly, I could not be bothered to play this game to full completion. The narrator is obnoxious and unfunny, with his humor and dialogue proving to be more irritating than entertaining. Unfunny! I'm not trying to be funny. I'm trying to make a serious work of art. I suppose I could write up a handful of gags to insert into the Stanley Parable, but the game is already such a densely layered web of profound philosophical insights that I can't even imagine where I'd have the room to stick them.
Un peu de réflexion. On dirait une map de survie où on s'attend à voir des zombies arriver. Ah, c'est la porte pourrie de tout à l'heure, je la reconnais. Sans le digicode là. On sent le code vocal.
Okay, let's see what this one says. While the idea for the game is good, for someone who prefers non-linear games, this preachiness gets annoying fast. Preachy? Stanley? I'm not preachy, am I? You can tell me if I'm preachy. Honestly, you can. Oh, goodness. This is actually quite shocking for me. Well, to be honest, I had always thought of the game's dialogue as being rather terse to begin with. You can't know how much fluff I cut from the game to get it to feel as light and airy as it... Well, I always thought it did. But maybe it wasn't. Oh dear. What an awful memory to have to hold on to. These black marks on my otherwise unimpeachable track record. I feel like a failure. Like I let these people down. Perhaps the Stanley Parable isn't quite as sterling as I always remembered. What's this one got to say? You constantly have to stop doing anything so the narrator can catch up with his long-winded explanations of what's happening. I wish there was a skip button. A skip button? Well, yes. Yes, I think we can do that. If I'm truly too preachy, then maybe letting you skip ahead for just a moment, surely it couldn't hurt. Not if it means we can strike these negative reviews from the record. Only positive reviews of the Stanley Parable. That's my motto today, and it's always been my motto. I'd do anything for the customer, Stanley. Yes, a skip button we shall have.
Le bouton skip.
And here it is. Go ahead and give it a shot. I'll pop you forward in time so that the second my incessant droning starts to bore you, with just the push of a button, you'll have zipped right past it. It's what the players have been asking for, and I'm very proud to have delivered. No more listening to me rambling on and on and on. No. The Stanley Parable is a game for the people. And if the people want silence, then by goodness, that's what they're going to get. Well, don't sit around waiting for me to shut up. Go ahead and make me shut up. Here, we'll pretend that I've just begun an interminable monologue, and it goes something like this. The story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah. We've eaten too much and it can't be just yet, no, until 245. That the logic of elimination working backwards, the deduction therefore becomes impossible to manufacture. It went on for nearly 10,000 years, until just yesterday, here and there, forward and back, and never a moment before lunchtime. It can't be. It's the only thing there is. How many billions left until so much more than forever ago? Which is why I say... the story and the choices, or what have you, and therefore by becoming it is, so on and so forth, until inevitably we all until the end of time, at which time everything all at once, so now you see, blah 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 blah.
Il tourne en rond.
Oh, you're back, you see. You were only frozen in time for a few minutes, but it was plenty of time for me to deliver a long, rambling monologue full of unnecessary verbal flourishes and lengthy ruminations. Well there, sport. You really did catch me rambling on a bit, didn't you? But that's the power of the button. The minute I start to go off on a thoughtless display of self-absorption, it...
Click.
Okay, welcome back, Stanley. Now, I should say that the amount of time the button has been skipping through is becoming longer and longer. That last one was, well, I want to say maybe 30, 45 minutes?
Ouais.
It's not unendurable by any means, but it's, well, there's really only so much I can ramble on to myself about. I know, it's shocking, isn't it? But at any rate, I do suggest that we not press the button again. I think the skip button has been aptly demonstrated, and we can say goodbye to it and just... Wait, how do we get out of here? Where did the door go? Wasn't there a door that led into this room?
Ah, c'est vrai.
I do feel quite certain that there was one here before. How else would we have gotten into the room in the first place? I don't think one can enter a room without a door of some sort, or a window, or something like that. Do you see a window anywhere?
Allez, on va faire une avance rapide encore.
A sufficiently large crack in... Stanley, please don't push the button again. It's been 12 hours. You've just been frozen there. I don't know why the skips are getting longer, but they're really, truly getting longer, and my God, there's no way out of the room. Stanley, the door is gone. It's completely gone. I've looked at it from every angle. I've checked every one of the... Oh, Stanley, you're back. You're back. Oh, my goodness. I have someone to talk to again. Stanley, I think it's been a week. Or 2 weeks.
Une semaine.
I've been sitting here all that time. Just sitting here. Not a single person to speak with. And you'd think that that's just how it's always been, right?
Quoi, 12 heures, une semaine?
And you saying nothing.
Ça fait x14.
Would you think that it's exactly the same
Si
as
je rappuie, il va passer quoi, 6 mois?
Doesn't that feel like what we've already been doing?
Et plus de lumière.
Oh, hello. It's you. You're here again. Welcome. I have had time to think about you and about us and about everything we've been through. I've had so much time. I stopped keeping track after a year. Have you ever sat down in one place and not moved for one entire year? Let me describe it for you. To begin with, there is only regret. There is only the turning wheel of missed opportunities. I felt nothing at all but regret for the longest time, Stanley. Days, months. I lost it all in a blur of the deepest longing to undo the past. And when that feeling had begun to subside, what took its place is what I can only describe as the collapse of every moment I have ever experienced my entire life. All of them collapsed down into a single instant. In that instant, I could see myself clearly, calmly, with a collected heart. It was an impossibly rich wellspring of both delight and disgust simultaneously. I was consumed by it. I could do nothing but wallow in it for what felt like an eternity, for what I now know was far less. You see, it was a revelation for me. It was unlike anything I had ever known. It was a space without consequence, without action or outcome. It was divorced entirely from the question of free will that you and I have squabbled over for so long. There could be no one ending, no singular outcome of events, not if all events existed in the same moment. And I felt freed. I felt unburdened by the need to manifest a particular outcome into being. I saw that I...
Ah. Serait-ce la fin pour lui? On refait un petit jump. Ah, c'est l'alarme qui est là qui bip. On se casse.
But they didn't understand the game was never meant to be funny. It was meant to have a point. It was meant to speak to the human condition. But where are the jokes? Where are the jokes? They bemoaned, they screamed, they gnashed their teeth and said, entertain us. It wasn't enough. They had to leave a pathetic little thumbs-down review and make all of their pitiful demands. But then, he's talking too much, they said. First, he didn't entertain us, now he won't shut up. It's the inconsistency, it's the lack of accountability. It's the unwillingness to examine with an uncompromising heart the words that they are speaking into the world. As though there were no consequences for a lack of cohesion in one's assessment of others. But of course, absolutely anyone can leave a review. So here's what we get. We get these demands that seek everything and are accountable to nothing. We get a world where someone will say, oh, there should be a skip button. You should be able to freeze Stanley in place while the narrator sits there forever and ever. We want all of this in the new Stanley Parable. We demand it. And then, because it was said, because it was spoken, now it simply has to happen. The most immediate desires, every single thing demanded by every person at every moment in time. If someone wants it, then it's a crime not to bring it into being. Have we been given to indulging every fleeting whim for no reason other than to do so? Yes! Yes! It seems that this is now the world we live in. It seems that we are a people living in such bleakness and discomfort with ourselves that our entertainment is now our lives. It has come to represent us. It absolutely must speak to who we are as people, because otherwise, without our entertainment, we have nothing. Without entertainment, we would have to face inward toward the cruel bleakness inside ourselves. We would turn to look at our deeper nature and find a resounding emptiness gazing back with unyielding aggression. And so because of this, we require that our amusements and our playthings and our flights of fancy be so impossibly captivating that they consume all of our attention, turn our heads completely away from the bleakness. In effect, we have demanded that our entertainment be the...
Silence. Un coulis on, un coulis off. Il n'y a toujours pas une petite porte là derrière? J'ai entendu cloque. Comment ça, de l'eau qui coule? Après tout, on était sur une plateforme au-dessus de l'eau.
The end is never the end, is never the end, is never the end, is
Ça y est, il a
never
pété
the
un câble.
end, is never the 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 end, is...
Faites-moi sortir. Ah! Comment ça se passait les trucs là? Allez, on fait passer... Ça fait combien? Ça fait 1000 ans que j'avance là. On commence à voir le ciel. Ah, les time warp. Oh! La végétation commence à pousser. Alors si ça met aussi peu de temps, c'est que ça avance pas si vite en vrai. Quoique, il y a de la terre. Oula! Bah, tout est mort. Tant que le bouton marche. On est bien. Quel enfer. Oula! Ah merde! Le bouton! Bah, le bouton il est cuit. Par contre on peut sortir. Waouh! La fin des temps. Est-ce que je vais... Est-ce que je peux faire une dernière avance, non? Et si on partait... Ok. Bonjour. Sortez-moi de là.
How long was I sitting there? Stanley wondered to himself. Minutes? Days? Centuries? Did something crucial happen while my senses were turned? He made a note to be more careful with time from now on.
Ouais, les siècles, je pense que ça me paraît plausible. Bien, on y retourne. New content. Ouais. Si je le prenais pas,
When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
Faisons les choses normalement.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an... Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
On peut toujours tout faire là.
Okay, I think we all know the drill by now. Blah, blah, blah. Dark secrets, the keypad. Stanley pushes some buttons. Oh, hey, look, it's a new passageway. Quelle surprise.
Ouais. Merci pour ce gain de temps. Alors du coup, la salle du mind control... ça me faisait faire une vraie fin. Du coup, là, je tourne en rond.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility.
Ah si, il y a un truc que je peux changer.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was, but of course, Stanley thought better of it and realized he simply had... Nope, still on board with death.
Attends la phrase suivante. Phrase suivante, il est à...
The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track.
Et on y va. Pouic, 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 pouic. Calme de la salle de contrôle. Pouic.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley thought to himself. Did he have the strength to find out? Now the monitors jumped to life, their true nature revealed. Each bore the number of an employee in the building, Stanley's co-workers. The lives of so many individuals reduced to images on a screen, and Stanley, one of them, eternally monitored in this place where freedom meant nothing.
Oh, le 234, il est en bleu. Je ne sais pas ce que c'est, mais écrit en bleu.
This mind control facility, it was too horrible to believe. It couldn't be true. Had Stanley really been under someone's control all this time? Was this the only reason he was happy with his boring job? That his emotions had been manipulated to accept it blindly? No, he refused to believe it. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control? Never! It was unthinkable. Wasn't it? Was it even possible? Had he truly spent his entire life utterly blind to the world?
La salle.
But here was the proof. The heart of the operation.
Ah oui,
Controls labeled with emotions. Happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working. All of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he would dismantle the controls once and for all.
Ah, bah, cette fois on peut changer. Là on peut genre l'allumer. Clic.
Oh, Stanley, you didn't just activate the controls, did you? After they kept you enslaved all these years, you go and you try to take control of the machine for yourself. Is that what you wanted? Control? Oh, Stanley, I applaud your effort, I really do. But you need to understand, there's only so much that machine can do. You were supposed to let it go, turn the controls off, and leave. If you want to throw my story off track, you're going to have to do much better than that. I'm afraid you don't have nearly the power you think you do. For example, and I believe you'll find this pertinent, Stanley suddenly realized he had just initiated the network's emergency detonation system. In the event that this machine is activated without proper DNA identification, nuclear detonators are said to explode, eliminating the entire complex. How long until detonation then? Let's say, 2 minutes. Now this is making things a little more fun, isn't it, Stanley? It's your time to shine. You are the star. It's your story now. Shape it to your heart's desires. Oh, this is much better than what I had in mind. What a shame we have so little time left to enjoy it. Mere moments until the bomb goes off. But what precious moments each one of them is. More time to talk about you, about me, where we're going, what all this means. I barely know where to start. What's that? You'd like to know where your co-workers are? A moment of solace before you're obliterated? All right, I'm in a good mood. You're going to die anyway. I'll tell you exactly what happened to them. I erased them. I turned off the machine. I set you free. Of course, that was merely in this instance of the story. Sometimes when I tell it, I simply let you sit there in your office forever, pushing buttons endlessly and then dying alone. Other times, I let the office sink into the ground, swallowing everyone inside, or I let it burn to a crisp. I have to say this, though, this version of events has been rather amusing. Watching you try to make sense of everything and take back the control wrested away from you, it's quite rich. I almost hate to see it go. But I'm sure whatever I come up with on the next go-around will be even better. My goodness, only 34 seconds left. But I'm enjoying this so much. You know what? To hell with it. I'm going to put some extra time on the clock. Why not? These are precious additional seconds, Stanley. Time doesn't grow on trees. Oh dear me, what's the matter, Stanley? Is it that you have no idea where you're going or what you're supposed to be doing right now? Exactement. Or did you just assume when you saw that timer that something in this room was capable of turning it off? I mean, look at you. Running from button to button, screen to screen, clicking on every little thing in this room. These numbered buttons, no, these colored ones, or maybe this big red button, or this door. Everything, anything, something here will save me. Why would you think that, Stanley? That this video game can be beaten? Won? Solved? Do you have any idea what your purpose in this place is? Stanley, you're in for quite a disappointment. But here's a spoiler for you. That timer isn't a catalyst to keep the action moving along. It's just seconds ticking away to your death. You're only still playing instead of watching a cutscene because I want to watch you for every moment that you're powerless. To see you made humble. This is not a challenge. It's a tragedy. You wanted to control this world, that's fine. But I'm going to destroy it first, so you can't. Take a look at the clock, Stanley. That's 30 seconds you have left to struggle. 30 seconds until a big boom and then nothing. No end, just you being blown to pieces. Will you cling desperately to your frail life, or will you let it go peacefully? Another choice. Make it count. Or don't. It's all the same to me, all a part of the joke. And believe me, I will be laughing at every second of your inevitable life from the moment we fade in until the moment I say, happily ever after.
Bonjour. On va bosser un peu. Téléphone? Téléphone.
Hello. This is a recorded message scheduled either by you or a person in your place of work. The purpose of this message is to warn you about the dangers of recorded messages. If at any time you believe you are listening to a recorded message, please terminate it immediately and cease all flow of information from the recorded message into your perceptual sphere. Thank you, and have a pleasant day.
C'est un message qui dit que attention au message enregistré et qu'il faut pas écouter le message enregistré. Mais du coup, s'il faut pas écouter ce message enregistré, ça veut dire qu'il faut écouter le message enregistré. C'est bon? Il est paradoxe. Alors, éteignons. Ah, j'imagine que c'était sur les premiers runs où j'avais l'option de taper un code sur le PC. Bon, je force là-bas ou je force là? Bon, on va le new content.
You notice my sign. Yes, I have something very exciting to show you.
Ah. Allons voir. Je jugerai après.
You see, Stanley, I've been reflecting on the Stanley Parable and about how roundly disappointing this ultra deluxe version has turned out to be. The original Stanley Parable was a landmark, and any new content for it should live up to that legacy. So forget this ultra deluxe nonsense. I say we take it one step even further. Which is why I'm very proud to announce for the first time ever, the Stanley Parable 2.
Ouais.
Yes, you see, isn't this far superior to a measly port with a few minor additions? Think of all the new territory we'll cover with a fully fledged sequel. An entirely new experience, built from the ground up. Why, there are so many possibilities. It could go in so many different directions. This is what fans have truly been asking for.
427.
Calling it the Stanley Parable 2 is just so much catchier than Ultra Deluxe, don't you think? Ultra Deluxe? What does it even mean? But the Stanley Parable 2, now that's an artistic statement right there. It's future-oriented. It screams progress and innovation and long-term franchising potential.
C'est pas 420. C'est pas 427, c'est 527 mon numéro. Doué, Zwei, Dos. Ouais. C'est quoi? Test de séquelles. Bonjour. Dans les bureaux du 2. Sir, back. 2 doors. Ouais, la base. Ouais. More TSP, better TSP, win-win. The color red. Voilà, faire un compte de rouge, quoi.
Now, to be clear, I haven't quite nailed down what exactly the Stanley Parable 2 is going to be, but let's take a look at some of the features I've been developing for it. I figure that if I can loosely organize a handful of interesting concepts, that surely the game will sort of naturally spring up around them. It'll all work itself out. Game development is much more of a fuzzy magic than anything scientific or logical, really.
Les suites sont bien. Portail 2, Half-Life 2, Batman Arkham 2, Divinité 2, Doom 2, Aladdin 2. C'est pas le cas de tout le monde pour Aladdin 2. Moi j'ai bien aimé, même si la production est pas folle. Après, faut savoir sur les trucs, il y a une bonne chaîne sur ça. C'est comment? La suite de trop. Qui pour beaucoup de films dit si la suite est était nécessaire ou non. Bon, sur le tapis.
Here we are. Go on, try out some of the new features.
Ici, une nouvelle feature? Bah oui, mais tu sais déjà pas toi-même ce qu'il y a dedans. Réassurance bucket. Du merc. Le bouton qui donne le nom du joueur qui joue le game, qui joue le jeu. Je vais tester ça, moi.
For the Stanley Parable 2, I asked myself, what do players really want? And of course, the first and most obvious answer is that they want to be individually recognized and validated as people. So with that in mind, my first addition to the game is this button which speaks the name of the person playing the game. Isn't that wonderful?
Testons ça, hein. On va voir si c'est vrai.
Jim. Sorry, I should have clarified. Right now, the button only says the name Jim.
Bravo.
But of course, in the final game, this button will say your name, whatever name that is. Here, let's have you role-play as Jim to really simulate the full experience of this feature. Just play along. I promise you'll love it. Okay, here we go. Let's take a deep breath, clear your mind, forget whoever you are, and simply become a person named Jim. I want you to imagine yourself living as Jim, sleeping and waking as Jim, falling in love and being heartbroken as Jim, seizing all of the world's possibilities as Jim, and as Jim watching your dreams crumble into dust. Do you feel it deeply? Are you really, truly Jim right now? If so, then please step forward and press the button. Jim. Yes, you see? What a thrill, what a rush. That was you. The button described you. Do it again, do it again.
Jim.
Ooh, it hits even harder the second time. If this were the only new feature in the Stanley Parable 2, it would still be worth the money. Let's take a break from the Jim button. I'm too emotionally drained from all of this personal validation.
Go.
I suppose I could allow only people named Jim to play the Stanley Parable 2. That would actually save me the work of finishing this feature.
Épilogue. Paramètres champion du monde. Trou sans fond, trophée gratuit. Free new plus easy trophy. Get it here. Ah, je crois qu'il fallait rester en dessous, moi. Là, ça part sur quoi? Please, a screenshot.
Okay, I'll be honest, I haven't yet decided on this one. I think that in the new version, the office could use a bit of decoration, like balloons. But I'm undecided on Get Well Someday and Happy 12th Birthday. Which would you go with?
Anniversaire.
You know, sometimes when you solicit another person's opinion, it makes you realize that you knew which one you actually really wanted all along. Get Well Someday it is.
Quoi? Okay.
Or actually, maybe I should have gone with... No. No, I've made my decision. We're moving on. A common complaint of the Stanley Parable was that it was confusing and paradoxical, that it engendered a chaotic sense of reckless despair in those who played it. Well, I'm happy to say that after much consideration, I've engineered a clever solution to this fundamental problem with the game. It's the Stanley Parable Reassurance Bucket. You see, Stanley, anytime you're holding the bucket, a sense of calm and ease will fill your mind and your heart. It's true. As long as you hold on to the bucket, the many disorienting contradictions of the Stanley Parable will feel perfectly normal and perhaps even comforting. You may even come to long for the gentle embrace of jarring cognitive dissonance while the bucket is in your arms. And to be honest, it's a much more convenient solution for me than actually redesigning the game to be less uncomfortable. Can you imagine what a pain in the ass that would be? Yes, the bucket is the perfect solution. Come on, give it a try. Can you feel it? The glow of comfort, even in the face of crushing despair, must already be sweeping through your body. And in fact, can I say that I do believe the bucket lends you an air of charisma as well? I think that just holding it has made you the slightest bit more attractive as a person. The benefits of the bucket seem to go on, don't they? All this and more await you in the Stanley Parable 2.
Et jette-moi ça là. Ah, je peux en sortir. Tout ce que je voulais.
Does anyone give out awards for most enjoyable bucket in a video game? That really should be an award if it isn't already.
Trophée gratuit. Okay.
Now, here's something special. You remember that broken test trophy that got left in the game on accident? Well, I'm developing a technology to simply give you the trophy. Yes. You see, you'll come to this lever, and when you pull it, the trophy will be given to you. It's as simple as that. Okay, perhaps I should have clarified. This is technology that will exist. Right now, the trophy is still fully broken. I'm not a wizard, Stanley, but I guarantee it will be fixed in the sequel to at last satisfy the hordes of ravenous fans all over the world who have been uproariously demanding this feature. Gamers, we hear you, and I promise it will happen. What else? What other exhibits haven't we seen yet?
Là-haut.
Ah, collectibles. Now it's a real video game. In the Stanley Parable 2, you'll run around gathering up these miniature Stanley figurines. And what's truly innovative is that there will be no reward for collecting all of them. I don't want to stifle the intrinsic joy of watching a number go up. You simply collect all of them, and then you move the hell on with your unremarkable life.
Je pars vers le soleil. Ah, super. Quoi? Faut que je les trouve? Waouh.
God, it really is the worst when you collect everything in a video game and then they give you a big fancy reward for it. Absolutely tragic.
La sortie, c'est bien ça.
All right. Have you seen everything you wanted to? Ready to move on now? So, Stanley, what do you think? Do you like all of the new features? Yes, I know it's not exactly clear yet how exactly these features will come together as one single coherent video game, but I can feel it in my soul. It's going to work. There's definitely a good game in there somewhere. Say, let's do an experiment. I'll arrange these new features together, and we'll see whether or not it coheres into a meaningful gameplay experience. Okay. Are you ready? Here it is. I give you the Stanley Parable 2. I mean, there's potential here, right? It's sort of... Okay, never mind.
Il y a la machine,
Hold
les
on,
boutons,
let me do a different arrangement.
le saut.
Okay, yes, this is much better. I feel good about this. Here we go, version 2. Who am I kidding, Stanley? This isn't a coherent video game at all. It's a lot of gags. And I do very much enjoy creating gags, but they don't add up to anything. I wanted more than anything to create a sequel that would capture all the magic of the first game. I wanted fans to love it. No matter how good these gags are, they won't stand on their own. They would need the structure and the gameplay of the original. Wait, maybe that's it. I can take the original Stanley Parable and simply, well, insert a few of my new features into it. Tastefully, of course. With respect. With care for the vision and integrity of the original game. Would it possibly work? I suppose it could. But it would need a really, really tremendous title screen. A title screen that says with bold and uncompromising conviction, "This is the Stanley Parable 2. Let me see if I can whip something up.
Genre ultra deluxe.
All right, perfect. Go ahead. Take a look.
Énorme. Et ben jouons à Stanley Parable 2.
This is the story of a man named Stanley. Stanley worked for a company in a big building where he was employee number 427. Employee number 427's job was simple. He sat at his desk in room 427 and he pushed buttons on a keyboard. Orders came to him through a monitor on his desk, telling him what buttons to push, how long to push them, and in what order. This is what employee 427 did every day of every month of every year. And although others might have considered it soul-rending, Stanley relished every moment that the orders came in, as though he had been made exactly for this job. And Stanley was happy. And then one day, something very peculiar happened. Something that would forever change Stanley. Something he would never quite forget. He had been at his desk for nearly an hour when he realized that...
On a la feature de passer. On passe, l'intro étant la même. Du coup, on démarre, mais c'est Stanley Parable 2.
All of his co-workers were gone.
Avec des ballons.
Stanley decided to go to the meeting room. Perhaps he had simply missed a memo. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Oh, il y a un... Ok. Oui, il y a le saut là.
Stanley felt the bucket calling to him, begging him to pick it up. Why was he not doing it? When Stanley came to a set of 2 open doors, he entered the door on his left.
On va suivre le pattern normal.
Yet there was not a single person here either. Feeling a wave of disbelief, Stanley decided to go up to his boss's office, hoping he might find an answer there. Coming to a staircase, Stanley walked upstairs to his boss's office.
Ah oui, non, pas le parking. Oh, j'ai le collectible.
You found one of them. One of the miniature Stanley figurines. Remember, no reward for collecting all of these, only the intrinsic pleasure of a job well done. You can't buy that sort of happiness, Stanley. God knows I've tried. So, I implore you to savor each and every moment you come across one of these beautiful figurines.
Ouais, on voit genre qu'il a le perso avec la figurine.
Another miniature Stanley figurine.
Sûr.
This, you know, there really must be a snappier name for these things. What about mini-stands? Stanley figs? Or what about Stanlerines? Yes, I think I like that. Another Stanlerine under your belt. Here's the door, just go.
Ah merde. Si je tape malgré que ce soit ouvert, c'est... Deux... 8... Et merde, c'est trop. Deux... 8... Ah, c'est trop bas. Secours. Rien. Alors. 2... Je vois pas mon viseur. 2, admettons. Ici ça devrait être 8 là. Ok. Ici on devrait être 4 ici. Ouais, et 5. Bon, c'est déjà ouvert, mais... Petit bonus, non? Non. Bon, tant pis. On va essayer.
Okay, I'm going back to the name of these little Stanley figurines, and now I'm torn between Stanlerines and Figlies. What do you think, Stanley? What name better encapsulates the intrinsic sense of happiness that you get from seeing a small number in the corner of your screen go up by 1? Let me sit on it. I'm sure it will come to me.
Peut-être. Pas de figo planqué là. Ouais.
Stanley walked straight ahead through the large door that read Mind Control Facility. Although this passageway had the word Escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley would meet his violent death. The door behind him was not shut. Stanley still had every opportunity to turn around and get back on track. At this point, Stanley was making a conscious, concerted effort to walk forward and willingly confront his death.
Il y avait quoi déjà en bas? Ah oui, le truc, le compresseur. Et là-bas, c'était... soit je sors, soit j'explose. Voilà le compresseur. me semble qu'il y a une variante que j'ai pas faite.
As the machine whirred into motion and Stanley was inched closer and closer to his demise, he reflected that his life had been of no consequence whatsoever. Stanley can't see the bigger picture. He doesn't know the real story, trapped forever in his narrow vision of what this world is. Perhaps his death was of no great loss, like plucking the eyeballs from a blind man. And so he resigned and willingly accepted this violent end to his brief and shallow life. Farewell, Stanley.
Adieu.
Farewell, Stanley, cried the narrator, as Stanley was led helplessly into the enormous metal jaws. In a single visceral instant, Stanley was obliterated as the machine crushed every bone in his body, killing him instantly.
Ok. Ah oui, je me rappelle.
And yet it would be just a few minutes before Stanley would restart the game, back in his office, as alive as ever. What exactly did the narrator think he was going to accomplish? When every path you can walk has been created for you long in advance, death becomes meaningless, making life the same. Do you see now? Do you see that Stanley was already dead from the moment he hit start?
Ça, c'est pas bon, c'est de l'autre côté. Et en fait... Ouais, la zone de guerre. Moi, j'étais parti par là. Et ici, a priori, il y a mon bureau de départ, c'est ça? Et en triple. Du bureau de Stanley. Ouais, ok, là, il est en plein milieu. Là, il est sur le côté. Il est sur le côté, mes armoires sont un peu plus en bordel et ouvert. Ok, ok, ok.
Oh, look at these two. How they wish to destroy one another. How they wish to control one another. How they both wish to be free. Can you see? Can you see how much they need one another? No, perhaps not. Sometimes these things cannot be seen. But listen to me. You can still save these two. You can stop the...
La suite est en pause.
program before they both fail. Turn off your PlayStation. There's no other way to beat this game. As long as you move forward, you'll be walking someone else's path. Stop now and it'll be your only true choice. Whatever you do, choose it. Don't let time choose for you.
Si je fais recommencer, est-ce que ça compte dans le jeu ou pas? Oh, on start sur la V2. Hein. Meeting today.
Even now, Stanley's office was a distant memory. What did it look like? There was a computer, perhaps, and a painting. Was it a painting or a photo? He could no longer recall. No matter how hard Stanley looked, he couldn't find a trace of his co-workers.
Ah, je sais.
Stanley picked up the bucket.
Je l'ai pas pris tout à l'heure. Bon, j'ai le bucket.
Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left. This was not the correct way to the meeting room, but Stanley had felt the bucket calling to him, telling him that the employee lounge was simply the place to be. And here it was. Had the bucket turned out to be correct? Was this better than the meeting room? Yes, Stanley thought to himself. Yes, perhaps it truly was. How insightful the bucket turned out to be. No, never mind. The bucket was wrong. Stanley took the door on his left to go back to the meeting room. And so the two of them detoured through the maintenance section and walked straight ahead to the opposite door.
J'avais pas encore été par là. J'avais descendu. Enfin, j'étais descendu. Donc là, normalement, c'est même la zone, je la connais pas. Bon, on retourne là. Il y a une récompense pour tous ces trouvés. Comment dire que vous en avez attrapé un? Comment on les fait flotter de les airs? Qu'est-ce qui les fait flotter de les airs? Employé 416. Good luck. Il y a pas un petit planqué derrière là?
Coming to a staircase, Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office.
Oui, forcément. On va retourner en bas. Hein. Ah non, par bas, c'est le parking. Il y en avait un là. Du coup, il y a peut-être un dans le parking.
But Stanley just couldn't do it. He considered the possibility of facing his boss, admitting he had left his post during work hours. He might be fined for that. And in such a competitive economy, why had he taken that risk? All because he believed everyone had vanished? His boss would think he was crazy. And then, something occurred to Stanley. Maybe, he thought to himself, maybe I am crazy. He looked down at the bucket in his arms. Am I crazy? He asked the bucket. The bucket returned his gaze, but said nothing at all. That's strange, Stanley thought. Usually the bucket is a source of guidance and wisdom for me in difficult times such as these. He held the bucket close, yet felt none of its familiar reassurance and comfort. And that's when Stanley realized, this isn't my bucket. It's just a normal, everyday bucket. Someone else's bucket, perhaps. How did I end up with someone else's bucket? This is all terribly wrong. Surely no good would come from this. Who knows what sorts of bizarre hallucinations Stanley might experience without the psychologically grounding presence of his bucket. And indeed, now he noticed that the rooms were repeating, which was, of course, very odd. And now he felt himself floating off the ground. Oh, gracious, he exclaimed. Without my bucket, I've gone truly mad. Where is it? I must find it. Far off in the distance now, he heard it, calling to him.
Stanley! Stanley, it's me! The bucket!
Could it truly be? He rushed forward from room to room, passing by one bucket after the next. None of them were his. None of them were his special bucket.
Come to me, Stanley. Find me.
He had to find the bucket. He had to return to his old friend. It was the only way to truly restore his sanity. And then suddenly, he was dead in his tracks. He knew where the voice of the bucket had been coming from. The real bucket was inside of him all along.
Super.
It was incredibly painful. Stanley doubled over in agony and blacked out.
Oh lolo. Je suis un sot. J'ai avalé un sot.
This is the story of a woman named Mariella.
Ah oui.
Mariella woke up on a day like any other. She arose, got dressed, picked up her bucket of comfort and security, and walked to her place of work. But on this particular day, her walk was interrupted by the body of a man who had stumbled through town, talking and screaming to himself, and then collapsed dead on the sidewalk. Right away, she knew what the problem was. This man had no bucket. Of course he'd gone mad, ranting and raving about a narrator describing all of his actions and how everything is predetermined and free will is an illusion and it's all just a video game. It could all have been prevented if only he'd taken his bucket with him. Perhaps he didn't even realize he'd forgotten his bucket at home in the first place. How cruel the world can be, Mariella thought, and she hugged her own bucket even tighter. But of course, she had no time for this. There were a myriad of confusing problems she would soon have to confront at work, for which her bucket would provide absolute guidance and total clarity on everything. Heck yes, she thought to herself, my life kicks ass. And she backflipped all the way to work.
Bah oui, elle a un seau. La vie avec un seau est plus magique. Bien, bien, bien. 11h20, bonjour.
A soft wind blew outside and perhaps rain started.
Oh.
And if it did, it stopped shortly after. Stanley hoped that he would one day see weather.
Moi, j'aurais jamais vu le temps, Stanley. Ah si, du coup, je suis bien 427 et pas 527. Oh, je me suis trompé depuis bien longtemps alors. Pour la peine, j'éteins ça. Bucket ou pas bucket?
Stanley lifted the
Allez,
bucket into his arms, and a wave of comfort rushed over him. Stanley clutched the bucket tightly to his chest and entered the door on his left.
Ouais, sans réfléchir. Fais la voie normale. Oh, j'ai trouvé. Trust du complétionniste instinct. Ok. Du coup, si je suis la voie
Coming
normale,
to a staircase,
j'aurais tombé dessus.
Stanley and the bucket walked upstairs to the boss's office. Stepping into his manager's office, Stanley was once again stunned to discover not an indication of any human life. Crushed by the weight of this revelation, Stanley may have broken down into an emotional dumpster fire if not for the soothing presence of the bucket. Even now, in his darkest of hours, did the bucket's warmth and guiding light pierce the dark clouds of confusion and chaos. It would be with him always. The bucket would, and he knew it. The two of them were inseparable.
Oh,
At this point, Stanley was so absorbed in the tender spiritual connection he shared with the bucket that he didn't notice the keypad behind the boss's desk. Nor in his bliss of simply being near the bucket did he have any notion that the PIN number for the keypad was 2845.
Click.
But Stanley guessed the correct code by sheer luck. Was it that the bucket knew all along? Was the bucket guiding him? Yes, this is certainly the most logical explanation.
Bien sûr, c'est le saut ultime. Du coup, les collectibles. Bah, on va jusqu'au bout de la salle de mind control.
The elevator raced downward, plummeting towards an unknown fate. It would be all Stanley could do to keep himself together, if not for the bucket. soothing him, comforting him, reassuring that in this darkest moment of uncertainty, he would be all right. The bucket is here for you, Stanley. Everything will be fine.
Pour ce qu'il m'apporte, ouais.
Stanley and the bucket walked straight ahead through the large door that read, Mind Control Facility.
Hey, si je suis là.
Although this passageway had the word escape written on it, the truth was that at the end of this hall, Stanley and the bucket would both meet. But of course, Stanley and the bucket thought better of it and realized they simply had too much to live for.
Yeah.
The lights rose on an enormous room packed with television screens. What horrible secret did this place hold? Stanley and the bucket both wondered to themselves. The monitors jumped to life, and Stanley nearly dropped the bucket in shock. Everyone in the office was being videotaped, monitored like guinea pigs. The bucket had never seen anything like this, and it very nearly burst into tears as Stanley cradled it gently, reassuring it that everything would be fine.
Je suis là.
Was the bucket under the mind control facility's influence as well? Had the bucket been told to do things it didn't wish to do? What kinds of things does a bucket want to do or not want to do in the first place?
Rien, c'est bien
These
rien.
questions raced furiously in Stanley's feeble mind. No! He screamed into the bucket. He couldn't accept it. His own life in someone else's control, never! He squeezed the bucket tighter, his one friend in the entire world. At this point, he could trust no one except for the bucket. But here was the proof. The heart of the operation. Controls labeled with emotions, happy or sad or content. Walking, eating, working, all of it monitored and commanded from this very place. And as the cold reality of his past began to sink in, Stanley decided that this machinery would never again exert its terrible power over another human life. For he and the bucket would dismantle the controls for good. Two best friends, Stanley and the bucket, up against the world. They high-fived in a really cool way, and the bucket made a sassy comment about taking down the system.
J'aurais fait la fin avec Monstro cette fois.
Stanley and the bucket waited in blackness. Was it over? Yes, they had done it. Stanley and the bucket had defeated their greatest and darkest enemy, freed themselves from the tyrannical grip of the evil mind control machine. Freedom was now mere moments away. Excitedly, the two of them began to discuss the kind of life they wanted to live once they stepped through this massive door. The bucket wanted to learn to roller skate. Stanley wanted to sneeze in every country on Earth. Both of them wanted to begin watching a movie, any movie, but then stop it halfway through and begin watching it in reverse from the end. True, it was a simple life they envisioned, but it was one they'd lived together, with one another to lean on, to trust, to support.
Ah.
What? Wait. What was happening? Why had the door stopped? Was Stanley and the bucket not about to be freed?
Et non.
An unbearable silence filled the room, lingering in uncertainty, until finally the truth hit Stanley square in the face. This building did not want the bucket to leave. Even the facility itself recognized the incredible calming presence of the bucket, needed the soothing warmth of the bucket, would go to any lengths not to part with the bucket. No. Stanley can't leave this place, not while he has such a precious bucket in his arms, not while this building has anything to say about it. Stanley realized he would never again leave this very room, but at least he has the bucket. To be trapped eternally in darkness isn't really so bad, Stanley thought to himself. As long as I have my bucket with me, right? I'll be okay, won't I? Stanley gulped. Very soon now, he was about to find out.
Bonjour. Bon. Je ne sais pas si c'est interminable à l'infini. Pour l'instant, je fais vraiment plein de trucs variables. Je vais poser là. Oh, j'imagine ça se trouve c'est peut-être bientôt fini. Mais est-ce que j'ai une pause? J'imagine c'est une sauvegarde auto. Je continuerai ça ouais, un petit peu après Noël, histoire de reposer mon cerveau parce qu'il pète le crâne le narrateur et l'histoire. Et ouais, c'est beaucoup plus ouf que le chat de Schrödinger. Du coup, merci d'avoir regardé. Et puis soyez patients pour la suite. Je pense que je fais ça avant la fin de l'année, mais moyen motivé. C'est quand même un sacré enfer. Mais je suis quand même curieux de savoir s'il y a une vraie fin définitive. Merci en tout cas. Bonne nuit, à bientôt.